Right, welcome to the first Cunning Bound podcast. We're going to be doing this hopefully on a regular basis, sort of covering off some of the interesting things of the day, having a general discussion about various different kind of marketing subjects, hopefully providing some useful and possibly even interesting information. Different people every week, hopefully, probably these three quite a lot. First, let's just, I suppose, introduce ourselves, shall we? That's sort of the smart thing to do at the start of a new podcast. I'm James.
I'm Ali.
I'm Joe.
I'm Molly.
There we go. That's who we all are, so make sure you remember that. So we start off, every podcast we're going to start off with a kind of what's going on in the world today. So we're talking today about social media. I think that's what we're talking about. Yeah, we're talking about social media today. I knew that I prepped in advance, so I knew exactly what's going on. So we're talking about social media today, but we're always going to start off with kind of a general round robin of what things are going on in the world right now. So who would like to start?
Yeah, I'll go. So Vodafone have released, or are releasing soon, a new system for under 25s called Voxy. And so it's basically like data plans for the younger ones that there's like more internet and less like text messaging and phone calls, because people of our generation don't do that apparently. So they've got like a lot of different like marketing images of like all these young people like in cool, colourful clothes and all that. And I mean, they think it's going to be a good idea because they think they're getting into like they're trying to tap into that market. But the backlash of it is like it's definitely classed as like stereotyping, and you can't really bracket all under 25-year-olds into the one like umbrella that they've done. So yeah, like it's launching I think tomorrow, and like I think it's about 4 or 5 different data plans, and then they're actually doing like all the social media, because they want to basically start like a kind of social community around this Voxy and try and get a lot of interaction for young people. So
Are they offering new things?
it's literally data plans just now, but they did say they're going to go into, they're trying to link it with like Freshers Week, with like student events happening and everything, so they're properly like getting
Is it a studenty sort of, they're going after students with it as well?
basically, yeah, so that it's anyone really under 25.
How young are they targeting?
I would probably say mainly kind of like 18 to 25, because it is, from the imagery that they've got, it is like very much like kind of students. And yeah, people of like
People wearing backwards caps,
trying to be cool,
baggy trousers,
exactly.
skateboards.
Well, it's just they're doing more data plans for internet, so it will be cheaper because they're really lowering down like the text messaging and the phone calls and all that. But they're just up in. Well, exactly. So I mean, it is pointless in a way, having like text messaging in the first place, but
Yeah, I think I use that too alone.
Text messages these days, yeah. God, no.
people that don't have iPhones use WhatsApp for it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Most places, I mean, most plans don't have like unlimited text messages now anyway. Most unlimited calls. But I guess the lower level stuff like the pay as you go as well and stuff like that, they still charging for those in ways.
Yeah, mine's unlimited text. But I don't use any of it.
I know.
It's interesting how they do that, what sort of visuals they use to try and relate to. Is it like, I haven't seen the visuals, do they look kind of
They're very,
good,
very
youthful, or is it like a slightly out of touch?
It's very stereotypical, like they're trying too much, I think, because they've got like multicultural students, and they have them from all different backgrounds, and they have like, but they've all got kind of like the same like kind of streetwear style, which a lot of people our age don't. But it's more like stereotyping for
So there's a
what they
danger
think
when
they
they
are.
kind of middle-aged marketing person puts together
Exactly.
what they think a generic.
Yeah.
They think youths look like. They've all got hoodies on their skateboards with their backwards.
I'm sure one of them is actually in a skate park.
Of course,
as well.
because that's where
So-
youths hang out.
Exactly.
So I've seen them
Stuff.
bus stops, drinking white lightning. Stalls white lightning. That's what they do. As far as I'm aware, I see them.
But
Cool.
yeah, so we'll see how that
Interesting.
turns out.
Is Voxy with an X?
VOXy.
That's how you- yeah, that's how you
That's
call
when you
it.
know.
You know it's cool. It's got an X. That's how you do. That's how you do it. You got Joe.
Interesting article on The Guardian I read earlier this week about how people are trying to push their ads on Facebook to a wider audience and get them in front of more eyes, and this is about boosting other people's content. So that's, in this example they used a review of a restaurant published it on their page, hid it from the timeline, and you can still promote it that way, but then it doesn't look like their own content because it's written by someone else, linked to someone else's page, but it's promoting their own product. So I thought that's quite an interesting way of getting around the whole, because ads obviously come up quite obviously as an ad from a particular company. It's quite clear where it's come from. This is a new way of getting around that whole idea of an ad being an obvious ad. If you promote someone else's content, it's well hidden in that respect. And the idea that you can still hide it from the page, keep it on the page, whichever you want to do, but you can still promote someone else's work through your own ad account and boost it that way, which I thought was pretty interesting for a lot of these bigger pages like Lab Bible as well. They're looking at ways to sort of make their content look more organic than it already does. It's already halfway there, but you can still, if you don't follow Lab Bible, you still see a lot of their content. It still stands out as being quite heavy, but this certainly looks like a new way of getting around that, which is quite interesting.
So we could just so I understand, so you could promote other people's content on your own page. So if someone,
Yeah, so if someone got a review of any type of a shopping centre, of a hotel, of whatever, you know, if it's a good one, 5 out of 5, whatever it is, you take that from, if it's a blog piece or whatever, you take that from their blog site, put it on your page and promote it, and then Facebook sees it as your own content, and then the ad manager, you just throw it through there and put your money behind it, and it goes out to, you know, you choose your audience as always, but when people see it, they won't think, oh, it's just another bit of that person's content. They'll think it's someone else talking about your
so
own
it shows
page.
up as, you know, Joe's been talking about this thing,
Exactly, yeah.
even though it's been paid for by
Yeah.
Mr. Brand over here.
Exactly.
It shows up as, you know, one of your friends has said something. Or something.
Yeah, it just makes it look a lot more natural, so people might be more inclined to read it in that respect, rather than just reading something on your own page.
What
So-
about the person who's posting it? Do they have permissions for it to be?
That's where the legal loophole is at the moment, because there is that issue where people have, the Guardian was saying there are a few people who are saying, well, you can't use my blog post, but
Yeah.
it's published on Facebook, so it's in public domain, so
Presumably it's only works if you publish something publicly, I imagine. If you,
Yeah.
you posted it on the timeline of a brand or something like that, if you, they can't, you obviously, if I posted something
On your
on my personal
Yeah.
timeline only to my friends, and there's no brand.
exactly, it's just looking for people who are bloggers who are publicly putting their pieces out there and their opinions. And there is that legal loophole because these guys want to be paid for their content, but at the moment there's no way around it because at the moment no one's started doing this. It's a very new trend for promoting ads, so I'm sure there'll be something to time it up soon, but at the moment the Guardian are pretty confident this is something that's going to be around for the next couple of years before they can get the lawyers on it to tighten up, because Facebook don't mind. It's, you know, pumping more money into their ad server, so that they're not putting it at the top of their list to sort out, so it'll be interesting to see what happens this time next year with it. That's certainly the way advertisers are looking to promote content now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Molly.
I've seen that quite a few celebrities are starting to wipe out their social media. Taylor Swift did it. She literally deleted. Yeah. Deleted everything on her Instagram page and then put up a few subliminal messages with snakes.
He's a lunatic, though, so.
Yeah,
Standard.
before her new album release, but didn't give her fans a heads up, so everyone was talking about it, so it's a good way to market the new album. And then Lana Del Rey's done it this week as well. But she's already released an album, so no one's quite sure why she's do it.
And doesn't say that like quitting social media is a new way. So instead of just ramping up your social media content, just quit it completely, and that'd be the story.
Yeah.
Who didn't Ed Sheeran quit the other week as well? Because he said it was a meme.
Yeah. Kanye West has done it before.
Yeah, another. There's a side noticing a little
Just
trend.
before his
Somebody's
clothing.
been doing.
Mm.
So they do it. So they're quitting.
To get everyone speaking about them, because Kanye did it before his clothing line came out, and now Taylor's done it, and now Lana Del Rey, so I don't know what she is going to do.
They'll be back.
Wait, is it-
Yeah. But they're still on social, they just delete every single post that they've had.
What? Like, what's the like? I don't.
Because get people like
Crazy.
where's all that stuff gone?
And also quite a lot of what they do is like, because now Instagram pages are like actual kind of like collage type things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they release like, if it is like Taylor Swift or something, they release like part of the snake and then another part and another post, and then it all comes together to create this one big snake or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, it's not Taylor Swift doing it. It's some
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah.
some marketing corporation that
Yeah.
But it's quite good
that
'cause
presents
then
themselves.
you actually get like the bigger picture, and like a lot of artists are doing that as well with like album covers, and they have all 9 of the photos
Yeah.
as
Mhm.
one of the albums, which is like
It does look
really
nice when they do it.
good. Definitely.
But yeah.
We actually did like a little thing. Like a year or so ago, we were experimenting with making Instagram like websites where you make each image tags in another Instagram account. IKEA did one where they basically had all 9 images, had all different products in it, and they made a new Instagram account for every one of those different products, and you could tag in that other Instagram account in each one, so you could actually click on images and take yourself through to another image, and then it would take you in closer, and you can see more products across each 9. I think making that loads of collages, linking together, is really, really
Take a while that way.
Yeah.
we tried to do a couple of them, but it was just they were so time consuming. You just couldn't get no clients were really up for spending that amount of time on creating something like that, which was ultimately a pretty niche thing at the time. But it's something that was quite interesting. There you go, Tay-Tay's off Twitter. She'll be back. Thanks everyone for that bit. The bit we've cut anyway, that's why there's probably a little jump just there. Let's not try and hide it, because it didn't happen. It happened, the camera card was full, they read for it, it's very complicated. It's now 2 days later, we're back again. So we're ready to go once more this time. So next time we're going to talk a bit about the state of social media, like which networks are doing well, which ones are most relevant for some of our clients and might be more relevant for people watching or listening. Which ones are coming up and kind of whereabouts are they all at the moment. So should we start off with Facebook?
Yeah. Facebook's been talked about quite a lot recently. One of the main things that's in the news like this week was about that they're seeking deals with record labels and publishers to protect users from copyright violation, so buying the royalties. So for instance, when a user is uploading a video and you have that little, and it's got music in them, and it comes up with that little thing saying that this could have copyright infringement, and sometimes it won't let you upload it. Now it will, because Facebook will have the rights to that music. So it's kind of suggesting that Facebook see themselves more like a publisher rather than like a platform hosting, and other people are responsible for their own content. They're actually being responsible for it.
So this would be a similar question to the way YouTube does the same thing, where you upload a video, and if you've used a track that they've got a deal with the artist, then you can use it, and if they don't have a deal, then it says you can't use it, or something like that.
Yeah. They're working on some kind of software as well, I think it's something called Watch, but that'll take about 2 years for it to come into action, which will troll through all the videos that they don't have the rights to.
Okay. So that can actually deal with things like you mentioned, Joe, you were doing a Facebook Live and they were using some music in the background, and that got...
Immediately they picked up on the music, and they won't let you publish it as soon as they pick up on anything like that, so interested to see where they go with that.
So it worked like, it broadcast live okay, because it's not that sophisticated.
Exactly.
It was when you went to publish it later on that it kicked it out.
Exactly. So yeah, I was live fine, and then as soon as I clicked, published to newsfeed, that's when it came up with, you don't have permission to do this, etc. So we had to take the sound out and publish it that way. So they're very sharp on it at the moment.
So even if things aren't being used as a soundtrack, it's actually just being played in the background or something like that.
If you're anywhere like a restaurant or anything like that with background music, it will pick up on that, it seems.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So that could easily be an issue for you if your people are, filming each other when you're out and about or anything like that, in a shop or whatever else, and that sort of thing. So,
Massively. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it, that they're, do we think that's the thing? Do we think that social networks need to be taking a bit more responsibility for the content that's on there, or do you think it is, I remember stuff about, there was stuff about Pinterest as well, some while ago about them sort of stating basically that the users are responsible for their own content and their own use of copyright, and if they get sued, it's not, it's not our problem. Whereas, do we think that, that's been taking more responsibility?
I think with Facebook, because it is such a big advertising platform now, and it's big money making, it is through video and video advertising, and it's probably a good thing that they are doing that.
I think with that as well, like with the video thing, like obviously, I think because Facebook is kind of like struggling right now, like video content and images is their main thing now.
Yeah.
So you can totally tell and understand why they're going more of like the YouTube platform and more of like the actual image platform. Because their main thing before was all about like kind of like statuses and all that type of thing. But now they've realised they've realised that with like YouTube still huge, and obviously then you've got Instagram and all that as well. It's all about the actual multimedia on the site, and actual like, visual.
Definitely. You used to be able to scroll through Facebook and be like, album uploads, what statuses, and now it's always with your publishers, not your friends.
Because that's just what nowadays everyone wants, is like more visual content.
Definitely.
So I can completely imagine why they would do that with the copyright.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Spending millions on it, it's saying in the news as well. So they're investing quite a lot into
Yeah, that's
it.
not, I can't imagine that's a cheap thing to be
I think
doing.
that's the way that they want to go, is to be more of a publisher than like a social network.
Yeah.
Cool, okay. So how's it for, we're talking about Facebook in terms of for our, for brands and for, some of our clients and people watching clients, things like that. Is Facebook still, is that where we should be focusing all of our attention, or is it still a place where you can go to get that, set up a free account and still just talk to everybody and still manage to get out there and, be heard, or is it kind of, do we need to be starting to look at other options?
I would completely say Facebook. I think for me as personally, it's more legitimate if a company does have Facebook, because it's still one of those things that everyone does have and you do utilise with it. And I mean, we all do on a daily basis, we check Facebook all the time. And so I would definitely say it's always like a good one to have. Maybe not post as much, but the stuff we do post, it's like a lot more content, but just less amount.
To make sure it's visual.
And that's the main thing, is to make sure it's like properly attractive. Because I definitely know if there was a company that, say I was like shopping with or something, and they didn't have Facebook, you would be like, really?
You kind of...
And a lot of it is just the legitimacy of it, I would say.
You don't really trust a company that's not got a proper Facebook page, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed, recently looking at restaurants and things like that, and the links through TripAdvisor were mostly to Facebook pages. They'd got people who'd set up Facebook pages and they didn't even have a website or anything like that. It seems like it's just, you just kind of have one of those. Whether you post on it regularly, whether you're actually active on it or anything like that, doesn't seem to be, that's not the most important thing. It's just that you just have to be there. Whether it's your focus, for content marketing and things like that, is another question. But just not having a presence there, it's just become the de facto the base point.
You've got to have a page. I think it's becoming more obvious that the way Facebook is set up, you need to have ad spend if you really want to push your content out there. It's all good having a page. That's fine. A lot of people, if they're looking for information or want to complain or write a comment, etc., it's the best way to get in contact often. and actually emailing the old school way of emailing the centre or hotel or whatever. But you'll find if you really want to get your content out there, you need to have a good ad budget, because if you don't promote that content, it's not getting anywhere beyond the sort of small audience that you might have that's online at the time. So that's the other issue. If you've got a Facebook page, it's probably post less, because then you can spend more budget on those individual posts to push them to a wider audience. So on the content side, that is the one downside of Facebook, is you don't want to be pushing too much, because you need to save that spend for the individual posts that you are making. That is the one probably drawback for me with Facebook. It's become very much an ad platform.
Yes, I think you were saying before about wanting people to have a page, but I'm not as keen on that, because I think that it's a bit like a lot of those, even decent sized businesses, they set up that Facebook page and it's not monitored, there's no regular content on it. It's like sticking a suggestion box out in front of your shop and never ever looking at it and never opening it and never doing anything with it. And it's almost potentially a bigger problem, because you go on and they think, they've got a Facebook page, I'll ask them a question or I'll send them a message, and you never get a response to anything. Well, I'm already now thinking, that's a bit rubbish. You build that thing and you stuck some stuff on Facebook and that's it. I think, it's a bit like if you're not actually going to use it as a networking platform, you can't. It's not a website substitute. It's not a kind of build a Facebook page instead of having a website, instead of doing something else. So you can host all your information there. Or maybe Facebook needs some sort of, this is not a managed page, or this is not this is just a directory. You can get the phone number from here, but this will not be responded to. I know they have kind of a bit of that with normally responds within 17 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But maybe they do need to sort of tier that a little bit, so that there's people that do regularly respond, and then there's the ones that where it's just where you find the opening times or something like that.
I think as well, though, like with Facebook, they have that thing in the middle, like of the app, the Facebook Marketplace, the one in the middle, when it's actually selling stuff.
Yeah.
So there is that whole side of it as well, where it is also, in a sense, kind of like a website, and for a lot of smaller companies, that would be their website, would be Facebook, because it's a way for actually kind of selling their goods and all that as well. So
can you I've noticed that, my wife is constantly rummaging around on that sales app, buying random pieces of paraphernalia from the local area. But is that something that brands can do? Can they sell products on there as well?
Yeah, brands can do it as well, you tend to think, because it's also kind of like, in a way, what Depop's kind of like.
Okay, yeah.
So like you probably wouldn't find likes of like huge brands like Adidas and all that doing it, but you would tend
Next
to
on to put their directory on there. But
you would definitely find with a lot of like smaller like local independent shops, especially clothing brands, you would find that
like an eBay store or something like that.
Essentially. So I guess for the smaller brands it might be quite a good thing, depending obviously what the company is.
Interesting. So Facebook, still relevant, still the biggest, but perhaps not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
Probably not the
For
most
engagement.
trendy one.
Yeah, especially for younger people.
Yeah.
Okay. So how about Twitter? That's always our number 2 focus.
Yeah, so Twitter's an interesting one. I think a lot of people were calling it sort of death knell maybe a year or two ago. It wasn't growing, it wasn't financially viable, it kept making a loss every year. But yet it's still around, brands still rely on it, it's still massively important to how people receive and sort of engage with news. President Trump has certainly helped that. He essentially does all of his sort of opinions on it now. So he's definitely brought that back into focus. So what a lot of people are saying, its ad platform is perhaps not as sharp as Facebook's, and it's not quite as sort of tailored to specific content brands who are looking to push their content out. It's a very good news feed. It's become very good for breaking news and people constantly on there for the immediate, up-to-date news that no other platform currently can compete with. So if you're looking to release a product or you're building up to a countdown to something, Twitter's probably where you're going to want to do that, because it's a live audience and things are very quickly engaged with and snapped up. and no other platform at the moment is able to recreate that despite everyone saying it can't compete. There's clearly still a little sort of section of social media that's still very strong.
I definitely do that, like, especially with like programs like Great Rich Bake Off and all that. Like,
That's
you
it,
go
yeah.
on, you just even just look at the hashtag and just like it's constantly updated with like everyone and the latest news. So it's like that's I would say for me it's definitely still less so that like I tweet, but it's more literally just for
Want to see what's going on. And when Bake Off, Game of Thrones, when they cut to ad breaks, the hashtag will come up on the screen.
and it'll just
So there's an acknowledgement there that
That's
what
just the
they
break
do.
is the time when you're going to send out
That's
some
how
products
it's
or
going on.
numbers, yeah.
So it's exactly, it's very relevant for that.
And for brands though, I mean, I think that kind of, following the news, I get it, following like getting involved in a conversation around a TV show or something like that. How are brands doing on Twitter?
It's an interesting one. I think you want to. It's for that breaking content. If you've got an announcement, if you've got, say, someone performing or things like that, and you want that kind of. You can do the live video side, but it's much better to announce and maybe direct them to another section. So you announce. So we do a lot of Facebook Live links. We'll put on Twitter to catch that live audience, which Facebook doesn't let you engage with so well. Whereas on Twitter, you put that Facebook Live link, a lot more people can see it and then go to your Facebook page. So that's how you could manipulate how you're pushing your content. Still keep it on another network, but you still announce it on Twitter because the audience size is probably larger who are going to see it through so many different timelines. So that's how I think.
plus a lot of brands would like completely utilise hashtags in it. So even I think it was like IKEA that did it for Game of Thrones. It was literally something they did and they related. I don't know.
Jon Snow's cake, wasn't it? They found out was.
Was that
Maybe
something
IKEA.
like that? And then they jumped on that and then it went viral just because of the hashtag.
I just think you shouldn't plan tweets really that much on Twitter anymore. It's not really that
It's
beneficial.
more just instant posting.
Yeah, people aren't engaging with it if you've planned it out. It's just like what's going on and you jump on it that way. I think.
Much more reaction
Yeah.
if you can be.
So that's where brands. How can brands be successful on Twitter? It's more around not necessarily planning out your next week's worth of tweets, but actually thinking about what's happening in the world today, right now. What can we get involved in? So it's people chatting outside, which is making. We can hear that, but they're gone now. So so we're trying to kind of jump on conversations that are happening rather than just sort of shouting some random statement in the middle of walking into someone else's conversation and shouting about your product when they're in the middle of talking about something else. It's kind of it looks a bit.
Exactly. Look at what's trending. See if that can relate to what you're trying to talk about, and see if you can work it in that way. I think you can pay to promote a hashtag. So that's a lot for the sort of bigger companies. Would do that because then it will turn up on the trending sides, people click on it, and then that's obviously a lot of money for the bigger brands. But certainly the hashtag way of looking to push your products or announcements is certainly the way you do it on Twitter, I think.
Okay. So what's next? Instagram or we've got Snapchat actually next, haven't we? I think.
My fave.
See, Snapchat. I think that's the first time I realised I'm getting old when I figured out that Snapchat is it's very confusing. Somebody showed me once and they put some cat ears on my head, but that was about all I understood of Snapchat. So
Right, well, I've actually got
Tell us about
stats,
Snapchat.
right? I've got stats. So there's 173 million daily active users on Snapchat, right? The average daily user spends 30 minutes on Snapchat, and 71% of Snap users are under 34. So that kind of shows the demographics very young. And people under 25 use Snapchat 40 minutes average daily, which is more than Instagram's latest stats is for under 25s. So it shows that Snapchat is because in Snapchat it's not just like browsing through social media, it's like communicate with people. It's where a lot of people use Messenger on that, and because it is again instant, like very multimedia friendly, is it? And a lot of the time messages disappear. So, and a lot of people like that. Then you can't really go back and view the receipts of what you said before. But it's definitely like a really, it's very, very up and coming for like the younger people. I really like it.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've dabbled with it for brands. I think lots of brands have dabbled with it. I don't think I've seen a brand that has really nailed it on Snapchat. I don't know.
Kylie Jenner's brand. But that's literally like you need to be like the top like,
tier celebrity, and you kind of it's a celebrity brand, which is
Yeah.
a different thing to a company brand,
Or like a
isn't
high
it?
fashion
You
brand
tend to
where you get
find that.
behind the scenes of London Fashion Week and that sort of thing, which people want to see.
Yeah.
Not something where it's just like a brand
Yeah.
selling phones.
Shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're like a movie or something where you can wear that behind the scenes
Yeah.
sort of get the inside track kind of something that people really want to get involved in.
Victoria's Secret is like
Yeah.
really good for that with their Snapchat.
Okay.
Because they obviously have it like throughout like the months leading up to it, and then you have like all models and all the interviews and all that. So it's more kind of in a way newsworthy because Snapchat's got like on the story section on the right of it they have like actually news. So like brands like The Sun and Cosmopolitan and all that, they have their own wee sections. So then you click on that and it has like all the news of that, but it's all like multimedia, so it's like videos and stuff. So a lot of like those type of brands are doing stuff like that. I don't know how Snapchat picks what the top ones are, because you know how when you go into
Yeah, it's just always there. The Sun.
yeah, it's like always the same ones like The Sun, Cosmo,
Right.
The Guardian, and so I don't really know how they pick which ones
No.
are there, or if it literally is just kind of the magazines.
Yeah.
But that's how like a lot of
But the general rule as well is that they're all celebrity news, aren't they?
The Guardian sort of
Well,
Not the Guardian, no,
You know,
it's Sun,
but they actually
Daily Mail,
but
that's
it's
all
all,
celebrity
it all
stuff.
tends to be like it's just relevant news, and obviously
Yeah.
because the
But it's relevant to that
is-
demographic
yeah,
because, you know,
because it is a lot younger than
Yeah.
than
which I
someone's
fall
more
very, very slightly outside of them. Just.
I think they were saying Snapchat's now overtaken that 13 to 24 market. They now dominate that market itself. So if you're a brand that's targeting that kind of younger audience, then that Snapchat is now where you go for that kind of advertising, which is interesting. That's been able to beat out the behemoth that is Facebook.
I was looking at some stats here, I don't know where they're from, some random stats here, but it is interesting to look at how, you know, where it kind of ranking the social network apps and things like that. So you think, we know how massive Facebook is. So what do you think? What do you think is bigger, Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp?
WhatsApp. Wait, isn't WhatsApp?
It's owned by Facebook.
Yeah.
I think WhatsApp.
Messenger, maybe.
I would say WhatsApp definitely.
WhatsApp by 100 million.
Everyone's got their WhatsApp groups, haven't they?
Yeah.
Just everyone's forced to get Facebook messengers. That's interesting.
They sort of really did shuffle everyone across that. When you think they've got 2 billion people or whatever it is on Facebook now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's actually, you know, quite a small proportion of those people that are on, well, it's 1.3 billion, it's quite a lot.
It's still quite a lot. Yeah.
They're both doing all right. I mean, that's the main thing. There's one on this list that I've never heard of called like WeChat.
That's a Chinese thing.
Okay, that's in there. Number 3, QQ Chat. In number 4, then Instagram, Qzone, Viber, Line, and then Snapchat.
You'll find
With
a
a
lot of
paltry
Snapchat's
200 million. Very, very.
Mine was the video call.
Yeah.
It's like WhatsApp, but for video call.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure WhatsApp is now
Yeah, they've got their own one.
got their own one, so that's interesting. That's still in that top 10. But
It's interesting that, you know, I think we kind of get very focused on the ones that are relevant in this country, but there are obviously, you know, massive networking networks that are folks in other countries that we just don't, don't get and we have to engage with. So I think that's something worth, if you're dealing with a brand that has a global presence or a presence throughout Europe or something like that, it's quite important to think about what that might, just because it's the case here, doesn't necessarily mean it's the same in America or in other countries in Europe and things like that. So it's quite interesting. Okay, let's make a natural pause there. We're back again now. Let's not try and hide there was a cut again, because it will be blatantly obvious. So let's just carry on where we left off. We're all still wearing the same clothes. Again, it's a week later, but we've brought in the same clothes, so it's all okay. So we've talked a little bit about Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat. I think we can't ignore the behemoth that is YouTube. So what's going on with YouTube?
YouTube, I would definitely say YouTube's very, it's very stagnant as still like one of the best. Like with all these like YouTubers that are coming out, like Zoella and like a lot of like, it's basically all vloggers that are mainly like dominating YouTube, and that's what's making it so much more like appealing to younger people as well. And how they've still got that market is just the vloggers and all that. And you can see that Facebook's trying to get on that platform with them, but they've just not got the same amount of like exposure as YouTube has. So I would definitely say that YouTube's one that's still, it's stagnant, but it's like good, if that makes sense. Like it still dominates.
Yeah.
There's nothing that would take over from it.
Yeah, it's like it's like saying, it's like a television channel. And for a lot of kids and for a lot of people, it is like a television channel. That's what they watch. It's there, and it's unlikely to get overtaken. So how can brands be successful on
I would
YouTube?
say through bloggers. Like, utilising them. So sending their products, whatever, to these bloggers that have got a huge following and getting them to review them. They also obviously have YouTube adverts and things like that, depending on the size of the brand. Because everything you watch now has got an advert on there. So if it's a car advert or beauty. But if it's like a smaller brand that's just starting off, it's the best way is to use a blogger.
Like ASOS and Primark, they're like two major ones for this. Like Primark uses a lot of vloggers for like fashion hauls, and likewise with ASOS, 'cause I'm sure ASOS did it with Zoella, and it's like she buys, they supply her with a lot of stuff, and then she just shows it all on camera and stuff like that. And again, it's just promoting them, it's making them, and then Primark did it with that, I can't remember what her name was, but then from that they put that on their YouTube channel, so they linked to her, and then people would drive traffic onto her Primark's YouTube. So that's definitely, I would say, the most effective way.
It works in any industry, really.
So just finding those influencers and kind of getting them. Getting them on board.
It seems to be an influencer for every industry.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, there's often a cost involved in that. Because people are not, they're not stupid. They've got millions and millions of followers and subscribers to their YouTube channel, so they're going to be, some of them are charging big money to be to open your product or to play your video game or whatever else they might be doing. But I think we've done something before where we've kind of done competitions to find people to visit our clients or to interact with our clients and things like that, and finding those people that are maybe kind of on the cusp, or they're interested in getting involved in vlogging, but they perhaps don't have the audience, perhaps don't have the kind of the profile already, but they're keen to get involved in it. Sometimes that's kind of a good way to get out there and get involved and things like that. How about more like branded content? So if you're doing like an advert for Christmas, or you're doing like an interesting short video or something like that, can that still be, do you still, that's the best place to be kind of starting off with that kind of thing?
I think you've got that move now. YouTube has definitely dedicated itself to longer form content. They've accepted defeat that Facebook and Twitter have got that 30-second video stuff and below down to a T. What a lot of people are doing is putting a the sort of full campaign on YouTube, then they'll cut the videos up, put them on Twitter and Facebook, but still push back to see the whole campaign in its full on YouTube, and that's sort of where a lot of brands are making a lot of their money. Is they still have those big videos, like Adidas have a lot of their football videos that have feature loads of different footballers across like 3 or 4 minutes worth of a video, but you only see, say, certain sections of each footballer on Twitter and Facebook. So there's still room for that larger branded content for sure on YouTube, but the short stuff is definitely where you're moving away from that to Twitter and Facebook.
And Instagram, that's
And
of course,
Yeah.
the shorter videos.
Okay. Yeah.
YouTube's definitely for the local videos, I mean, definitely.
Still got a place, you should promote it a bit more broadly.
And like you said, it's like a channel.
Mm.
It's like
Being able to use it for ads as well, it's super easy to be able to turn those videos into an ad. I think also what I've noticed as well, and certainly the reason that you're watching this today, if indeed you are one of the two people that are, is that maybe let's not get too stressed about making this the most highly polished and highly produced thing in the world. I think that's kind of, we've all been guilty of that in the past. Like, we're going to do a video, then we need to get our professional videographer in, we need to edit something absolutely amazingly, and everything needs to be lit perfectly and absolutely wonderful. And I think, we've certainly realised that, and we've seen that with a lot of our clients, that actually just getting something out there is as important, and maybe not worrying so much about making it absolutely perfect. There's still a place for those those perfect videos, those kind of things that we've spent an enormous amount of time polishing and making just so. But actually, just get stuff out there, because most of the successful stuff on YouTube looks real. It looks like,
it's more authentic,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's kind of YouTube still massive. The one we haven't really touched upon, and I think kind of sometimes it's sometimes seen as the third option after Facebook and Twitter, but clearly already way ahead of Twitter in terms of number of active users on it is Instagram. Where's Instagram at the moment? What are they looking to do going forward, and where should people be focusing their efforts on Instagram?
I definitely think with Instagram, it's completely over the years, with the amount of celebrities that are now utilising that purely for their first form of contact, of their nice imagery and all that, and it's the one that gets the most amount of likes as well. It's a photo on Facebook, maybe again talking about Kardashians. One of them posts a photo on Instagram, they'll get millions of likes, whereas on Facebook they'll only get thousands. So that's why a lot more celebrities are using Instagram a lot more than they are with Facebook. So that's why it's driving a lot more people to Instagram to use it for that purpose. It's just because it's more aesthetically pleasing. It's more just images and videos. So it's so much more popular in that sense. And also you can actually find so many more people on Instagram with their discover part. Because obviously it takes your followers, who you follow, and it naturally just makes a timeline of who you should follow. Whereas Facebook doesn't do that. Facebook has a thing down the side that says people you may know or something, but it's nothing compared to what Instagram's like. And likewise with Twitter and Snapchat, they don't have the same effect, I personally think, compared to Instagram with the way they have it anyway. The way it's set up is just so simple. And
Yeah, I think with Instagram as well, it's becoming more like trying to compete with Snapchat, like how Snapchat has the story, now Instagram has that, and brands can show a little snapshot of what they're doing behind the scenes, that sort of thing. And it's just visual content, it's there.
you find as well, Facebook's now starting that. Facebook's one though, it's not taken off.
Through Messenger they're doing it, aren't they?
Well, actually, on the app, I was probably connected with Messenger as well, but on the app, just at the top, it's all stories. But you find I don't really like many celebrities, but there's nothing on that because it's not really taken off for them.
I think that also from a business point of view, Instagram's now got proper business pages, haven't they?
Yeah.
And you can put in call to actions, and you can actually kind of more easily engage with people as a business. And I think it's moved away a bit from that kind of issue where it was when Instagram started. The same as when when Facebook started, and we were all creating personal profiles for businesses and trying to get people to kind of like us out of pretend you're a person and stuff. Then it's kind of a bit cloak and dagger and a bit like trying to make something do something, sort of hacking it really to do what you want to do. Instagram, up until it was early this year really when they introduced that, you were still having to do that. You were a brand was having to be a person, and now that's changed. Which brands do you have brands that you guys follow? Do you,
Yeah.
we think of things that all works well for brands on Instagram?
I always follow fashion brands or jewellery and things like that, and just all like visually pleasing.
I think the
Yeah.
companies that we're utilising most with are the very visual ones. Like you have all your fashion brands, your Adidas, Nike, all
Yeah.
them, and then yeah, like you said,
Food as well.
yeah, that's a big one for
Yeah.
restaurants.
Traveller as well, like different places. I think,
Anything that's
Yeah.
visually pleasing, barbers. I follow a lot of barbers.
That's quite.
Even like tiny
Specific.
independent ones.
Okay.
And a lot of them do really well on Instagram as well. Because you have like 30-second videos where like it's like wee cutaways of them just slowly doing hair and like before and afters and all that, and they're so
Yeah.
I love them. Like, I cannot get enough of them somehow.
Oh, videos.
Right.
cosmetic clinics as well, they get a lot of followings.
Yeah.
Mm.
And like all makeup.
Like before and after sort of things, yeah. Okay.
Mm.
And then the really quick makeup tutorials and all that you have as well. And then obviously that's where that links in with YouTube, where like you have the wee quick 30-second ones of like the YouTubers on Instagram, and you click forward and then it goes to YouTube for the whole bit of how this works.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it's free content, user-generated content for a lot of travel companies as well. People using hotels.com, hotel, great picture of a lovely view. Hotels.com then use it on Instagram feed, and that's wonderful advertising for them as well. So it's a huge source of content for that as well.
Yeah.
How has the the introduction of the algorithm was obviously there was a huge uproar about the fact that it wasn't just going to be chronological anymore. There's going to be an algorithm in place to kind of bump up content and bump it down, and that kind of thing. How's that affected things? And that doesn't seem to have rocked it too much, but
I think it's definitely been better because a lot of the time, especially if you're following like, thousands of people, like you will literally you will barely see anything because it's so quick,
Yeah.
and the amount of people that are doing it all the time. It's like Twitter in a way,
That's it.
but at least with this new setting, it's like you can actually see the ones that you really want to. It's the ones that you like go onto the pages you most, isn't it? Stuff like that. That's how you figure it out.
I think
And
brands
how
do
you
better about
interact
it
with it.
because otherwise you're just putting something out there and it's gone like Twitter.
Yeah.
Whereas this is the more likes it gets, it's going up and the more people follow it.
and obviously there's benefit as well where people are spending money on Facebook
Yeah.
and pushing money through there, and that's kind of.
Exactly.
I suppose that's the downside. Is it that Instagram used to be a place where a brand, say like on Twitter, I suppose, but to some extent you've got as much chance as everyone else. If you do a good piece of content, you share it, you put it on there well, you've got as much chance as everyone else. Whereas now we're back in the same ballpark where if a brand's got a lot of money, they are going to have a better chance of being successful on Instagram than a brand without any money.
Yeah, that's because Facebook own it, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. It's all about the ad platform. But yeah, I've seen, how about things like special offers and stuff like that? I think they don't seem to work quite as well with people. It's kind of trying to put on to Instagram a bit of promotional collateral or a bit of a, we've got 50% off,
It's definitely
clocks
not.
today or
I
something.
would say it's not that effective.
People are still quite strict about what they want to see on their Instagram. They want to see really polished and well-designed stuff. If you stick a promotional stuff like that, it's not hitting the right audience. You're not thought through what you're doing on there. You either need to sharpen up that image and make it really, really eye-catching, or just don't do it. Just put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, it will catch more than eye. People on Instagram are still very picky about what they want to see on their
Yeah, so I think that's really interesting with Instagram, is that you talk to different people and everyone's got their own little kind of view of what they want to see on Facebook. I don't want to see other people's kids.
Yeah.
Pets, really. I like seeing trees and plates of food. But that's sort of it, really. Other, things like that. It's not. For me, it's not Facebook. It's not like Facebook is where I'm expecting to see loads of pictures of other people's children on the beach and stuff like that, and I can hide them. No, I'm only kidding. I love everybody's children, but Instagram feels to me like it's a bit more like a gallery. Like I want to see
Yeah.
a really nicely composed photograph. I don't want to see I don't really want to see one person's day out and 20 photos from that person over the course of one day. I want to see like the best photo you took that day. And there should be a limit. That could be introduce a limit of you can only post one photo a day on there. So it's got to be like you've got to pick a best one.
Best one.
Yeah.
You've got to pick your best one. Otherwise, that'd be
stressful.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
That'd be too stressful. You wouldn't know that.
I'd need to bow out at that point.
But I think that's it. It's a funny thing, isn't it? But I think it seems like people universally agree that they don't, if you're trying to promote a restaurant, you want to see just a really nice picture of the food is more important than we've got a 2 for 1 on pasta. It's like they're actually you're much more inclined to think, that looks really good.
Yeah.
And it's not that difficult to take a good photo and make it look nice and put a little filter on it and stuff like that.
They give you the tools to do it, so
Yeah.
exactly.
Nice. Okay. Any other networks? I suppose these we've covered. This is a pretty brief overview of some of the biggest ones. Some of us there are. We know millions of other opportunities to get brands out there. And I think over the course of the coming months, we're going to talk a little bit about specific industries and specific areas, specific ideas to try and get things we use to some of our clients, things ways that people with bigger budgets could try and approach this, and those with smaller budgets could try and approach this and stuff like that. But this was kind of designed to be a bit of an overview of where those networks are and where people kind of ought to be spending their spending their time and spending their effort. And I think it's pretty clear that Facebook still relevant, still really important. If you've got great video content, then get it up on YouTube, but then make sure you cut it up and syndicate it and get it out amongst the other platforms. Instagram, arguably more important. Twitter, more users, more important. It really should be a focus. Twitter's that place where you're going to get that news, that instant piece of information that you want to do. So if you're launching something, or you're doing something that's timely and exciting, then get that on Twitter. Snapchat is still a bit of a mystery to me, but hopefully over time, Ali and Molly and Joe will teach me more about that. I'll be sending pictures of things to people before you know. Snaps. Everyone's know what Snap is. There you go. Cool. Well, thank you very much for watching or listening, depending on how you have ingested this podcast. Bear with us. Please give us feedback if you think it was brilliant. If you didn't like it very much, we're very, very fragile, so just don't say anything. Just keep it to yourself. That's absolutely fine. I'm sure it will improve over time, and we will get better. We'll be back next week. We're going to be talking about design and chatting with some of our designers about some different things there. But again, let us know if you've got ideas of things you'd like us to talk about, then please feel free to send them our way, and we will endeavour to chatter on the couch about them later on. Sofas on the couch, not American. Anyway, goodbye. Thanks for having us.
Bye.